Football tonight in a big, big, big show. Get to FanDuel Sportsbook. There are so many fun little things, entertaining things. That's a little ping to remind me that we have this amazing whiteout action at Lambeau, and we've got just the guest. Do you remember those like 2014, 2015 Jordy Nelson, Richard Sherman Seahawks, Packers vibes? Those big games in the NFC, the playoffs, the championship. We're going to talk to Richard Sherman. They're debuting. Of course, they've got their Amazon action with Thursday Night Football. So excited to talk to him. I want to know who the wide receiver one is on Green Bay. I know that they're saying there isn't one, but is there one? There has to be one that they're prepping for. Excited about that. Micah, Richard Sherman had Cliff Averill and company, Bennett. I just can't wait to sort of like relive a little lore from Richard Sherman's past. I've been listening to his podcast. It's unbelievable. I must download and listen to, so check that out. And we also have my full chat with Colts safety, Cam Bynum. Huge interception. First quarter, week 1 off of Tua. Is he getting a second one off Bo? We'll tell you. Evan Adams on a Thursday. Week 2 is here. These are precious times, precious moments. The world's a little weird, of course, but we're going to talk some football with Richard Sherman. We're going to talk some football with Cam Bynum. A very defensive show, Matthew Hamilton, and I'm a defensive gal. So
there you go. Perfect show.
Who's more defensive, Richard Sherman or Kay Adams? I don't know. If you would have seen the 2-minute drill here in my hotel room, it was truly one for the ages. My entire suitcase is on my bed. I don't really know. Just time flies. Time flies when you're, just time flies. That's all it is. And we know that, and it is precious time. And there's a lot going on FanDuel Sportsbook. I would say this, tell me if I'm wrong, because you're more in the innards of it all. I feel like this is the game to have fun with on FanDuel Sportsbook. Like if you're dabbling this week on this slate, we looked at the slate, Hammy and I. It's great. There's a lot of fun going on here. And there's certainly like, do your money line thing, spread your wings over at FanDuel Sportsbook, do what you want to do. But I would say, and I know that people like to sort of like make the case against like, oh, what's a week 2? We were like, just a Thursday night game. I have no worries about how both of these teams are going to come out. In fact, and I said this to you like 20 minutes ago on the meeting, like I think this is great for Green Bay. I think this is like, let's keep the party going. Let's get, Micah in there for more snaps. Let's get Matthew Golden more involved. And I think that they're very much leaning into the lore of Lambeau in this one. I don't know that, somebody from the Packers have to tell me, or a Packers fan, like, was this like blizzard whiteout thing that they're doing in September? Is this something that was planned? Was it on the ticket calendar? Or are they like, okay, might as well, like we're building on the momentum of bringing in Micah. Like there was a camp fight that happened that I feel like put the Packers on the map, right? Against the Seahawks. That was this, what is going on here? Then they get Micah. Then and then all hell breaks loose week 1 when they just absolutely like tone set and looked amazing defensively, offensively. So now it's like, let's let the good times roll. It sounds like.
Yeah, and I think on the Commanders side of things too, they had a big win against the Giants last week, but I think for them, they're probably anxious to get back out there and keep this thing rolling. We didn't really see Terry get involved too much. I think that changes tonight. And there were also some, I feel like some mistakes out of Jaden that were a little uncharacteristic. Again, big win by them, but especially the way they ended the first half. I think they're anxious to get back out there as well. And I'm excited to see what that defense looks like against the Packers because they dominated the Giants. I had some questions with all the changes that went on there. They looked fantastic in week 1, but obviously another step up here tonight against the Packers.
You think Debo is going to be as effective against this Packers defense? You can just use him in so many different ways. Cliff's like so clever about it.
And we only got a small taste of it on Sunday on that touchdown, but I think there's a lot of stuff that they have in store that we haven't even seen yet. And if you're going to bring it out, now's the night to bring it out. Run some of that triple option stuff with him in the backfield with either Eckler or Krosky Merritt. To me, the key is make Micah the read key, try to take him out of the game by making him the read key as much as possible. We saw the Ravens do it to Micah when he was in Dallas last year. I think that's the path for Washington to get this win.
Nothing makes me happier than a Krosky Merritt reference at 8 in the morning on the West Coast, or 11 a.m. where we are. Okay, let's get into this. You just saw the spread. Or the slate. Let's take a look again. Again, week 2 starts tonight. What a game. Commanders at Packers in Lambeau. Hopefully not a ton of Commanders fans, at least the Packers hoping so, and LaFleur leading that charge to have their fans do their thing as they are contenders on the way to the Super Bowl potentially. Let's take a look at our first double-digit spread of the year. Ravens 11.5-point faves over the Browns. Lions open as a 5.5-point fave over the Bears, and Ben Johnson's return to Detroit. So excited about that one. That line moved to 6.5, by the way, this morning. Bengals 3.5-point faves over the Jags. That one, sneaky potential to sort of be the most fun game of the weekend. I like that. I think we had a lot of points in that one, seeing as how the defenses are looking. It does have the highest total of the weekend, 49.5. Ooh, I like that. I think we see these two hit the over. I like the 49.5 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Go do that thing. And then Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Chiefs in KC. Birds holding strong. 1.5-point faves. As of this morning, Jalen Royal still has not practiced for the Chiefs. Woof. Andy insinuated yesterday Worthy will not land on IR. So I don't know, but it doesn't seem like he'll be out there this week either. Okay, let's get into this Packers-Commanders game. I cannot wait to get the thoughts of Richard Sherman, who's been studying this, a savant, a legend, and he'll be giving his thoughts, of course, on the Amazon Prime broadcast, the debut of Thursday Night Football here in week 2. Let's some of my thoughts here. Okay, like this is one of those matchups with stars so big that you don't even need a last name. Okay, these are the Madonnas, these are the Chers. This is Prince. This is Micah. This is Jaden, Debo, and now I'm going to add one to the mix in Bill. Okay, Bill is going to be a household name as of tonight. I'm calling my shot. If you're unfamiliar, it's got to be one of the best stories in the NFL right now. He's the 7th round pick. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, okay? He has taken over the backfield in Washington, fresh off an NFL debut. He had 10 carries. He turned them into 82 yards and a score. That is the most yards ever by a 7th round pick in his first career game. Guys, ever in the NFL. And more than first round pick Ashton Jeanty and Amari and Hampton had combined in week 1. Really think about that. This is now Bill, okay? There's no 3, there's no hyphenate, there's no dash. It's just Bill. This is Bill. He's explosive, okay? He's shifty AF. He's the reason the Commanders were comfortable somehow during training camp, making that weird, I guess like unforeseen weird because I didn't see it coming, move from a proven starter and guy and Brian Robinson Jr., they moved him because they were like, no, Bill's the star. Bill is going to be the one. And I think the whole nation's going to see it tonight on Amazon. I think he'll be a huge factor in whether or not the team can pull off an upset at Lambeau. As great as Jaden is, and yes, one name, Jaden, it's hard to be one-dimensional and beat this sort of a half-Lee Packers vibe that's going on. Okay, if you look at what happened, the erasure of Jahmyr Gibbs' production, 19 yards, 2.1 yards per carry. That's not the Gibbs that I know and love and scored 20 touchdowns. I don't know that has to do with how they're using him. I don't know from at least my eyes as a fan. Like, I don't think it had to do with Ben Johnson not being there. I think it had to do with, this defense. And I think Bill has a little bit of juice and he'll need it if they pull this off. And by the way, he's on the board. Is this true, Hamilton? Just warms my heart. Bill's on this list.
Oh, he's on the board. He's sitting there at 10.
Plus 2,200, I'm saying. Okay, look at this. Bill, not Ja'Cory, not Krosky, dash Merritt, dash hyphenate, whatever. Plus 2,200. Ashton Jeanty, of course, the favorite. He should be at plus 270. Emeka Egbuka, you know I love him. He would be the leader for me right now, for sure, after week 1. But Bill is right there. I'm saying he's value. I'm throwing some on Bill right now. Okay, by the way, FanDuel is offering another $2 million Thursday touchdown jackpot for this game. It did really well week 1. So if you didn't get involved, you should. All you have to do is opt in. So you do have to go do something. Don't be lazy. Go over there and opt in. You got to claim the jackpot token thing. And you pick an anytime touchdown scorer, right? If your pick, you got 2 chances here. If they score the first or last touchdown of the game, so say you use Bill, say you use Krosky Merritt. If you get the first or last touchdown with him, you win a share of $2 million. So Bill, by the way, getting plus 220 odds as of this morning for an anytime touchdown. Josh Jacobs, maybe the best running back, maybe the most unheralded best running back in the National Football League. He has the shortest odds in this game at -210. So go over to FanDuel Sportsbook, get in on the jackpot. I'm going to ask, of course, I'm very excited to have Richard Sherman on the show and Cam Bynum. Defensive show, like I said. I will say that I cannot wait to get his thoughts on a couple of the quarterbacks too. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, healthy respect, taking each other on, following that Steelers 4-touchdown performance by the future Hall of Famer. I want to get his thoughts on Russell Wilson and what's going on with the Giants, but I also want his thoughts on Brock Purdy. Okay. This is big news. Yeah, San Francisco, where of course Sherman spent time playing for and against. Kyle Shanahan said that it is a long shot officially that Brock Purdy plays this weekend against the Saints. Ian Rappaport's reporting he's expected to miss 2 to 5 weeks of this short season in that crazy division. This is Wolf City. This is Wolf University. Okay, woof, woof, woof all the way home. If the Niners don't have enough adversity already, this is a lot. And the news did swing the odds. Finally, they were still the favorites yesterday. As of this morning on FanDuel Sportsbook, the Rams have taken over the top spot in odds at +160. So I don't know. This was enough to move the needle because they, despite obviously what has gone on injury-wise with Kittle and the like, Brock news, not good. So we'll see, like, what does this mean? What does this mean for what could be a masterclass by Kyle Shanahan, right? And getting this thing going and not losing a step here. They do a pretty nice schedule. We can get into that. Or they can't keep up and the Rams just dominate the West from here. That could happen. I don't know that they might have done that if the Niners were completely healthy with how they look. We have not talked enough on this show about what the Rams were able to do against the Texans last Sunday. The defense, so dominant. Stafford looked awesome. So much worry, so much discourse, so much like trust issues with the Rams brass and like what's actually going on with him. He's missing time. I don't know. Like if they go 2-0 this Sunday, that by the way would be the first time they've done that since their Super Bowl winning season back in 2021. So I'm in. I'm all the way. What do the kids say? In it. With the swim hands, even though I think it's about something so gross, I'm sure I'm swimming in the Rams. That's where you'll find me. I'm not out on the Niners, by the way. The schedule, like I said, they got the Saints, the Cardinals, and the Jags. There's a very real world where Mac Jones, and if our producers can pull up his suit for the break, I'd like to see that, whatever he wore to the game last week. It's a big opportunity to see what he can do. And 4 years, we thought he might be the Niners' number 3 overall pick, right? This is like, there was some like Shanahanigans going on about wanting him. And now Kyle has him. Okay. He's your guy. So I'm not writing him off. And I will say this, there was a performance by Christian I want to talk about. Christian McCaffrey, again, dealing with injury, but we know he's got the talent to do it. He had look at this, 142-yard performance on 31 touches against a very tough Seattle defense. First game back from season-ending injury in 2024. He wanted it. And then, like I said, New Orleans, Arizona, Jacksonville, these are 3 very winnable situations. Give him the ball. Rely on him. And with the way their defense looked, I don't know. I think they're going to find a way through. And they've got, by the way, the first Shanahan-McVay matchup is week 5. Sherman will be there. Okay, that's a Thursday night football game against LA. They're still 3-point favorites. San Francisco at New Orleans this weekend. Favored to make the playoffs at -188. So we're not tapping out on the Niners, unless, of course, Richard Sherman says, it's over, kids. It's over. All right, we will be back after this. Cam Bynum on the show, interception in the first quarter with the Colts against the Dolphins. Will he do it again against Bo Nix and the Broncos? We'll get to that. And yes, Richard Sherman, ahead of tonight's action, will be on the show. Where's that Mac Jones? Am I crazy? Look, I'm using this as a light. It's very interesting. It's good.
It's a heck of a lamp. There he is.
Okay, talk to me about that.
I mean, his Niners debut going with the red and gold suit. You gotta respect it.
Do we? We gotta respect it, huh? All right.
You're not a fan?
I don't know. It's no, I'm not a fan.
He doesn't get points for the
no.
for the color scheme? No.
No, and I don't know how to how to dress. So I should, like but if you're asking me, like, am I a fan of that? Absolutely not. What could I put this on? See what kind of things we have in these drawers, shall we?
Oh boy.
Tell me what else is going on, Ham.
What else is going on? I mean, getting that Super Bowl rematch in week 2. It was fun that we kind of had it out of the gates come schedule release time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love that, all this other stuff is going on. Obviously, the Chiefs with all their injuries, we talked about, we want to see these teams kind of at full strength play each other, these top teams in the league. And, not the most fun thing to have the Chiefs so banged up going into it, but still, it's still going to be a great test, a great game. But
do you still
hoping at least Jalen Royals gets out there. Do I still think the Lions will win? Yeah, I do.
I think,
and FanDuel Sportsbook seems to agree. That line moved another point in the Lions' favor overnight.
Oh, yeah, they always know what they're doing over there. Overlords, the abacuses. Come on.
Oh, they do. But yeah, it was. I was a little. I thought Caleb showed his talent in that Monday night game. Did a lot of good things, but I was a little disappointed that we didn't.
Tell me why you hate Caleb.
I do not hate Caleb. I'm a big fan of Caleb, but I was a little disappointed. I was hoping to see him take a few more steps in the right direction as far as getting the ball out in rhythm with this offense. I thought he missed a few reads. I thought, there was still a lot to be desired there. Not saying that he won't get there. It's game 1 in a brand new offense, but was hoping to see a few more positive strides in the right direction than what I ended up seeing on that tape. There's somebody else on that tape, though, that we're going to talk about tomorrow for my first Hammer time of the season.
JJ McCarthy. Cam Bynum on the show, but time now for You Up. That's right. If you, dabble on the FanDuel Sportsbook Daily Fantasy World or props or a season-long league, I love you so much that I'm going to tell you who's going to go off this week. I promise you. These are the dudes. Okay, at quarterback, you lose Purdy, right? You're like, what am I going to do? You're in a 2-quarterback league. You want to put him in your line if you can't, right? Don't. I'm being so serious. Drake May. Listen to me. Drake May against the Dolphins. I know they're in Miami. I know the Patriots always suck in Miami for some reason, but the defense had such a rough time against Daniel Jones last week. Drake, you got a little built-in floor with the legs, right? He's got the upside of the rushing that's going to help him and make it a safe choice for me. And he is so cheap. I'm sorry, Drake, I love you. The Drake is so cheap. He is the 18th priced quarterback right now at 6,800 on FanDuel, if that's where you're playing daily. Okay, at running back, are you up? Dylan Sampson, you up, bro? I'm looking at him. He's a Browns rookie. Okay. He's got the Ravens on the docket. I know it's a tough matchup. But this is one that Flacco, by the way, the biggest celebrity in the NFL. Everybody loves Flacco, talking about Flacco, best guy ever, hilarious. All these things going on with Flacco. Tough matchup. But guess what? Sampson shined last week in his debut. He led the team with 8 catches in week 1. He racked up very close to 100 yards on 20 touches. This is volume. Flacco likes him. So I'm going to say, yeah. And he's also, if you're doing daily, very cheap. But if you need a little splash in your lineup, Dylan Sampson. Go look at his props too. I'd have fun with that. At receiver, I'm going to go with a deep pull. Okay. The Chiefs got to get something going. I can't do this dink and dunk thing all year long. I know you're hurt. We don't know if Jalen Royals is playing as of Thursday morning here, but you got to take a deep shot on Sunday and test the secondary with the Eagles. And I do have a couple questions about outside of young Cooper DeJean. Give me Tyquan Thornton. Okay, I was looking for him against the Chargers when I was in Sao Paulo. Didn't really happen. If the Chiefs want to get their revenge, and they have to, I think he's going to make a couple of big grabs against a new look, let's put it, Philly secondary. So there you go. These are sleepers with props. Tammy, we should maybe grab the props next time we do this because I'd love to know what the over-unders are for a Drake May at the Dolphins. Dylan Sampson, just trust me. Tyquan Thornton. I know people think I just lost all my credibility by going with Drake May after what he looked like last week. Just trust me with my sleepers for week 2. Okay, we have Richard Sherman on the show. Gotta go listen to his podcast. We'll talk all about it. It's incredible. And they are working tonight on Amazon Prime with TNF, his 4th year, which is so incredible. We'll unpack a little bit of that. But this week I got to sit and hang out with Cam Bynum, massive win over the Dolphins, spent so much time with Brian Flores and the Vikings defense. We'll talk about that a little bit. He's got Bo Nix on the docket this weekend. Their defense is incredible. What is Bo looking like to him? We'll also, of course, talk about his owner, what it's like in Indy, and the madman that is Coach Lou. You're in your kitchen. I could go a lot of ways with this. Like, we could do the cooking thing, like let Cam cook. We could do well, you really made yourself at home with the
Literally.
Colts
Yep.
against this Dolphins team. It's like a movie. You're saying
Literally.
You're still shocked by what happened, and it happened so quickly in this game. Why are you shocked? What's happened? What's going through your mind still days later?
Just the fact that it happened, like just going through it and seeing, my first game as a Colt, and just everything being brand new. And I was so sure that I would go out there and play well just because of my preparation. I was like, because my coach told us during the week, he said, you only get one chance to make a first impression in life on anything. And that stuck with me. And that's one of the things my DB coach told me. And I was like, dang, that's so real. Because if I go out there and don't play up to my standard for myself, I'm like, that'd be a disappointment. And for me to go play well and do what we did out there for that first game, for me, new defense, new everything. And for me, it's a new chapter of my life.
Talk me through this. I mean, I think I went into, even in the offseason, like, I wonder when Cam will get his first interception. That'll be great. And for it to happen in the first freaking quarter of week one, talk me through, now that you don't have to see it. You probably have it in your head ingrained. You lived it. Talk me through the interception.
Yeah, it was just simple cover three. Going against the Dolphins, we know who they want to go get the ball to. Tua is going to throw to Tyreek no matter what, and it's always going to be across the middle of the field so he can catch and run. So me playing cover three, I was a middle safety. So just knowing what they want to attack and seeing how locked in Tua was to throwing to Tyreek. We had a good pass rush. Grover Stewart, he made the ball have to be thrown a little higher. Nick Cross was in the window for me. So all that came to it just being an overthrow. And I was like, all I had to do was just catch the ball. So I honestly did the easy part of the whole play. But just for it to happen, like I said, it was crazy. And I'm still like at a loss for words. Then I was like, dang, I didn't think a celebration would come this quick.
But at that point, where this happened so early in the game, we don't know what's going to happen, right? It was 3-zip.
Right.
When you make that interception, and then the Colts just go on to score 30 points. I'm a believer. You're a believer in visualization. I'm a huge believer in momentum. Like, you started what led to this like entire and complete dominant performance that we love to see. And then you mentioned like, oh, I didn't think a celebration would come that early. I got to tell you, Cam, it looked like it hurt. Does that not hurt when you do something like that?
We got the shoulder pads on. We're chilling. I practiced it at home on the wood floor. So I'm like, if I could do it on the floor in my house, I'm chilling with pads on. So, and when you got the adrenaline, just like anything, back when me and Josh Metellus did the front flip, I'm like, if I fall, like, oh, well, I got a helmet and pads on. I was like, that was one of the easiest celebrations I've done. But we had something else planned, but it was a group celebration. And one of my teammates wasn't, I couldn't find him. So I was like, and I don't want to be a fake teammate and be a bad friend and leave somebody out.
With Lou, the idea of fun, like, I remember like the idea of B-flow, allowing or encouraging, I was like, what?
Right. It sounded crazy.
But Lou's you called him a madman. I've called him a maniac my entire life. Like, what has been his relationship with fun as far as coaching up this defense?
He encourages it too. Kind of like how we talked about B-Flow would encourage it. Same thing. I think any defensive coach knows what momentum and what energy and fun does to a defense. If we're making plays, he understands that we deserve to have fun. So at the Friday practice this week, he came up to me. He said, Cam, do you have any celebrations ready? We can do it now. I can tell the quarterback to throw a pick. And I said, hold on, we haven't rehearsed yet. That's tomorrow. I said, all right. I said, don't do it this week, but next week we'll have the group celebration. So when I'm telling you, like, he's making sure that we're actually doing it. He said, do you have it in practice? He's asking me, do you have the celebration ready so we can practice it in front of the whole team?
You said that he is a madman. Your words. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Just super competitive. Like, he's one of those coaches where he's just competitive, always, he's seeing it as a chess match against the opposing coach. And really the way that he's sending blitzes and really just versatile, everything that he did, especially this game, my first time being in a game that he's called, I got to understand him as a person more this time, just seeing how he was mixing things up, his mindset, how he was more aggressive than I thought he would be, but also in times where it was smart to not be aggressive, he was smart enough to back off and take his foot off the gas a little to just, play some coverage sometimes, let us get a play off. Then we'll send some more heat. Then we'll go to man coverage and we'll mix up a zone. And I think that's why we had the success we did with a lot of guys, with Kenny Moore getting the strip sack, with Nick Cross getting the sack. The quarterback had no clue where the pressures were coming from, just because we were mixing things up every single series, mixing up plays and just doing things that there was really no way to catch us off guard with a play, because we were caught off guard by these calls. We're like, okay, we're playing a man, first down. All right, we're going a blitz on second. All right, now we're in zone on third, and it was just like unorthodox, but it was fun because I knew that it was throwing the offense off too, because I was like, I couldn't even predict the calls at some point in the game. He was just having fun with it.
Let's talk a little bit about Daniel Jones. What a star. The performance, couldn't be happier for him. Wanted it for him. He needed it, right? Beautiful debut, just like you on the other side of the ball. 3 total touchdowns, right? He did something no other quarterback this century has done, Cam. He led the offense to 7 scores on 7 possessions. How insane was it?
It was just, for me, because I've had history with him. He knocked us out the playoffs in 2022 when he was balling in New York. Then, he had the tough years of his career, his late time in New York, then being in Minnesota on our practice squad last season. So I've kind of seen every part, like from a distance. Didn't get to know him until he came to Minnesota, but a guy that beat us, knocked us out the playoffs, then see him grinding on the practice squad and taking those practice squad reps at quarterback super serious last year, and being able to go against him and have those conversations with him when he's asking us on defense, what coverage were you in? And I'm like, any scout quarterback might just, let those things go. But he was there taking everything serious and just taking in all the knowledge he can get in his half a year in Minnesota. So when he came here and had the game that he had, it was like, for me, just as a fan of him as a person and seeing him work so hard, I'm like, this is what football is all about. Just seeing him, come out of the, all the noise in the media and overcome all of that to have an amazing game. Like you said, nobody in this century has done what he just did, and just really be able to redeem himself as a person. Because so many people counted him out, but for me as a teammate, I never had any doubt in him, because I've seen what he's been able to do playing against me, but then I've seen the work behind the scenes when he was on practice squad, then to earning his starting spot, then to earning the game that he had the other day.
So what's standing out about Bo Nix to get you to this 10th career interception that we're visualizing for you come Sunday?
Really good quarterback. I'd say he can get a lot of jobs done. He's mobile, he's good arm, can do a lot. But for me, I think there's opportunities everywhere, especially when Coach Lou is calling the defense that he's going to do, mixing things up and not showing one look, and us doing our job of disguising coverages and just doing our job. I think the ball will obviously be in the air. They have really good running backs, but you can't run the ball all game, especially when we have a good front seven like we do. They make it tough on the other team. So, but they have to be able to pass the ball also. So, like, that's where I'm seeing opportunities. And even before watching too much on them, it's like, in my mind, it's all about what we can do on defense. Like, there's always going to be opportunities if you do your job. So I'm expecting, especially got one first week. I'm like, why can't I have one every single game this year? That's the year I'm trying to have this year. I'm trying to touch double-digit picks and try and who knows what can happen.
That's just the kind of year we're trying to have. I know it was an emotional game as well, and you're new to it, but I mean, you're a human being. You're a wonderful human being. So you understood like the gravity of the game, right? With everything and honoring Jim Irsay, the celebration, but the heaviness of what it was. And I know that, his daughters were around, they were everywhere. There's so much being made of Carly Irsay Gordon being on the sideline. She was last year. She had the headset on. You weren't there for that. Can you sort of explain what her role was? Did you talk to her? Like, what was because there's like a huge viral moment, because she looks badass. Firstly, she looks freaking awesome.
With the headset on, I'm like, that's fire.
It is fire. And to have an owner down there, like, what was that? What was the dynamic?
This is the most involved I've seen with an owner. And obviously I've only been in the NFL going on my 5th year, so don't have too much experience. But she's just so involved in everything during OTA. She was sitting in the defensive meeting with a notebook, same notebook that we're writing the installs, and asking asking me, hey, what's the coverage on this play? Okay, what are you doing? Like learning football. And I know that that thing came out the other day of her quote saying she wants to be able to see if people know what they're talking about. And she's a person as an owner, like that's insane to me. Like the fact that she's sitting in defensive meetings, learning the defense with us and knowing what the calls are and knowing who's in what spots and actually taking the time to learn that because she doesn't have to. Being an owner of a team, like you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to show up in the building every single day. She's there every single day.
Every day?
Like I've seen her from my recall, like she's there in the building pretty much every single day. And so just seeing how involved that she is, she's in the weight room working out while we're getting our lift in. She's up there doing her cardio. Just being involved and being a normal person makes really this whole organization just feel like a family thing and like nobody's bigger than the program. Like you're the owner, humble enough to, just come here and have casual conversation with people. I've never seen that before. And Carly and all the sisters, they all do such a great job. And I see now the stories that I hear about Jim Irsay, it all makes sense now. I wasn't able to meet him, but everything makes sense when I see how she's operating and how she truly loves being here and being the owner. But
I mean, she wants to be great. When you own the team and you're making business decisions and you're evaluating what's going on, it makes sense. Right. I love hearing that you're welcoming of it. I love that she's getting a sweat in on the
literally
on
like she's just a normal person and you never expect that out of an NFL owner. So I'm like, that's so cool to me that she's just that humble to be able to just operate like a regular person around.
Can we get her on a celebration? Like how badass?
Gosh. She would do it too. She would do it.
I get her like this is
like that's just hard. Like she's just out there looking like a boss.
It's a huge challenge against these Broncos. So let's go, Daniel.
They have an insane defense. So like that's why we couldn't get too high off a week 1 win. We have 16 games left where we have to do the same exact thing, but you take all the good from it and carry it over.
Can't wait to see the celebration, and I can't wait. I want it to show you, but I also want like coach's face,
Got you. We'll start planning. We'll start planning our coach celebration.
Appreciate you so much. Thank you for the insight. Congratulations. It couldn't happen to a better guy. So
Thank excited you so much.
For you. Perfect way to start the season. Keep it going.
Yep, I will. Appreciate you.
The Halloween costumes for her. I'm already working on mine. Like she is in it. Why do I keep doing that?
She's awesome.
Like the last month. She's something else. She is something else. What was I going to say? I think I'm going to, obviously we were in Indy with Kaylin. And I think, I get to hang out with her next month. She's being honored for all the work that she's done. With kicking the stigma on mental health. It's like I actually don't know if she knows she's getting awarded things, but all of that, and it was interesting talking about like how like Jim prepared them for this in their different ways, but then to have like somebody actually want to understand like a defensive scheme. I think there's this idea that like she's intruding or something. Clearly Cam's like, no, this is awesome. And then it's really just like a student, like trying to figure out things to evaluate and sort of learn to be able to like, I like it. I like it quite a bit, but I'm sure people will be tracking. It's also not new. It's just new because she looked like an actual badass on the sideline there, which is amazing. And they got the win. We'll see if they can keep it going. I'm trying to like formulate, because I know we have Richard on, which is amazing. I'm trying to figure out like how I want to ask. And obviously like the Richard Sherman podcast. If y'all have not listened to the Richard Sherman podcast, it is like such an easy listen. He's hilarious and also brilliant, obviously. So there's that. It's like the extended version of like TNF, because you have to like speak in like, such a skill to speak and get points out in like 40 seconds. So you guys have to download it. It's really, really fantastic. But I'm trying to figure out like, there's no winning with the Brock thing. Because if they win, like if you're Brock, like, as far as if you gave a shit what the world has to say, right? Like, which he doesn't, because he's got his relationship with God and he's good and he's great and his teammates love him. So like, who cares? I think he actually is like that.
Yeah.
But like, shoot, if they like go 3-0 with these, lighter matchups on paper, then it's going to be what we shouldn't have paid him.
Yeah. People are going to talk that. I don't know how you can watch what he did in Seattle and still think that, as you laid out yesterday, with especially now knowing how hurt he was. It's just the narrative at some point. Yeah, but then I could say to you,
Nick Mullins, paper covers rock.
They didn't win with Nick Mullins. They won 5 games with Nick Mullins. So that's the thing to me. Yeah.
Intercepted. Richard Sherman. Behold, as I unfold something phenomenal. Richard Sherman. That is a touchdown. Richard Sherman again.
My next guest, a 5-time All-Pro corner. Gosh, that is so insane and so hard to do. And I miss him on the field, but I love that we get bits of him on Thursday Night Football, which is back on Prime Video in Lambeau, at Lambeau, whatever you want to call that mystique, crazy place that the Packers play in. Host of the Richard Sherman podcast, which is such a delightful listen. Richard, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you too. I appreciate that. It's good to see the good old days and remember them.
Oh, I remember them. I'm curious if you remember them because I was looking, I don't want to start negative here with you and I love you, but I was like, I was thinking of the lore of like you and like the Jordy Nelson and like those games in like 2014, 2015. Have you never won at Lambeau and why and how do you explain that?
Well, look, I beat the Green Bay Packers in 2 NFC championship games, but you come to Lambeau and you do not get wins. You do not get them. They're not easy to come by. So that's 100%. I think I'm 0-4.
You are. I want to know why though. If you were to really explain, because it's sort of like it's lore. What makes that place special, stand out, a mystery, tough? How would you describe it?
It's all those things, there's definitely lore to it. It's a cool location. It's one of the most unique stadiums in the National Football League. It's literally smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood, houses off the parking lot, houses right in front of the stadium. And they have great fans, but it's such a remote, location. You got to fly in. Well, we used to have to fly into Appleton. Now you can fly into Green Bay and they, let you in. But they also had good teams. They had really good teams, and it's Aaron Rodgers is a hard out anytime you play him, and if they had him every time we came, so it's gonna be a tough out.
Well, you're back in Green Bay. Can you like looking at the stadium right now from where you are?
Yeah.
I can tell. Yeah, you were looking at it when you were answering your question. I was like, "Where is he?" Oh yeah, I know that view. I know I know exactly where you are. And so, tell me about this. You get to go to these locations. I'm sure it's special. It's intimate. All the players that always play in Green Bay say we just get to hang out together. There's not much to do. What is that experience like with your TNF teammates? Because I literally can't believe it's year 4. Congratulations on another year, a 4th year with Amazon Prime TNF. What's this like so far? And what's this like in the year 4?
It's incredible, man. I love these guys, and there's so much love and appreciation and friendship in our group. And we get to do what we love. We get to do what we love, talking about the game we love with the people we love. I couldn't have picked a better team. Obviously, we get some incredible games, get to come to these incredible cities and venues and stadiums. And talk about these great teams. This is a great matchup. Michael Parsons is in town. Packers fans are incredibly excited. Obviously, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels coming off a huge win. Defense played well. So it's a lot of fun, man. It's exciting time. Football's the best sport in the world, and I love to talk about it.
So you're only going to get these like 40 seconds to talk on the broadcast because it's so fast, so furious at Lambeau. You mentioned Micah Parsons. Is that the thing as you're approaching this game? Like, where do the legend Richard Sherman's eyes go to unpack what we'll see tonight?
It goes to Micah Parsons, but it also goes to that back end for the Green Bay Packers. Jeff Hafley has them playing really well in his 2nd year as defensive coordinator, and their rotations and disguises are beautiful. Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard is also playing the nickel. Evan Williams had the interception last week, and Keyshawn Nixon has played well throughout his career and continues to play well. They also have a great linebacking core in Quay Walker and Edrin Cooper. It's just so much talent on this defense. So when you just focus on Micah Parsons, you almost miss how great the rest of the guys are. But they were a top 5 defense last year, and he just puts them over the top. He's the cherry on top of the sundae, and I can't wait to watch it continue to come together.
Micah was asked about Jaden and those zone reads this week, of course, and he said, quote, "I don't see anyone outrunning me on the edge." Do you agree with what Micah's saying?
I'm not going to put nothing past Micah Parsons. That boy got some good legs on him. But it's going to be a foot race between him and Jaden. And not everybody on this defense is Micah Parsons. So there are other guys that are going to have to contend with Jaden Daniels' legs. And it's not the designed runs that concern you most. It's when everybody's pass rushing up the field, everybody's covering, everybody's backs are turned, and he takes off because nobody's open or he just sees an opening. Those are the plays that sting you the most and hurt you the most as a defense because he can create explosives when you think you got him stopped.
I mean, Micah sacked Jaden 4.5 times in 2024. I cannot wait to see just 29 snaps, of course, last week. And I think my takeaway is like a fan from that, Richard, was just like he's bringing this badass attitude that I feel like I've wanted for Green Bay for a long time. And it hasn't happened, and when they've had these stars, if I look back at like Charles Woodson, like he's a little bit more quiet. And now we have like the second week in a row of Micah giving what the media and fans, I think, would call bulletin board material. Like he's so confident. He's so confident publicly. And I do think you're the perfect person to ask, like, how much of that matters when it comes to their success. Just the way I was looking at this team last week, I was like, man, they are bullying the team that's bullied them under Dan Campbell in a way. How much does the public confidence that Micah brings factor into their success?
I think they were already a good defense. So I don't want to take anything away from what they've done and what they've built because they built the right way. Micah only played 24 snaps, like you said, and they still were going to bully the Detroit Lions in the same way that they did. Yes, he had a sack and all that. So Micah's going to factor in a big way. But I think he legitimizes them. I think sometimes they say it like it's a bad thing, but the squeaky wheel gets the oil, it gets the attention. And so the bringing attention and bringing eyeballs to a defense that's already been really playing really well only legitimizes what they've been doing. Sometimes the defense can be the best in the world and people just aren't looking at them and they don't have the big names. They don't have the acclaim. So you're not saying they're the best defense, but bringing Micah Parsons in, the way he's talking and the way they're going to continue to perform, it's going to be fantastic.
Jordan Love spread it out last week, 10 different pass catchers, no one more than 5 targets. LaFleur is still on this like there's no wide receiver one. Between you and me, who is their wide receiver one?
That's the way they play it. That's the way they look on tape. It depends on the week. And that's a good thing for, he sees it as a positive thing. I don't know if I see it as a positive thing in that way because I know the frustration and the tension that builds in the locker room, in a receiving room when you have this. It seems like, oh, man, everybody's happy because they're only getting a couple targets. That's not how receivers in the National Football League work, at least the ones that I know. They all want the ball, and they want it every time they're out there. They always think they're open, and they always think they can change the game and affect it in a positive way. And then you draft a receiver in the first round. And so all the guys who thought they Reed and Dobbs and Watson, everybody thought they were the guy. They bring another guy in and say, hey, maybe he's the guy. And so, I think it's at some point going to boil over. I think it's been solid for a couple of years, but eventually somebody has to stand out and be the guy or you're going to run into some issues. And I remember last year, Dobbs had his time where he got frustrated. They suspended him for a game. Like that's not out of nowhere. That's the expectation. You're creating an environment that's going to perpetuate that.
I think it's a headache for LaFleur. And I talked to him this training camp, but I remember last year before they drafted Matthew Golden, I was like, what does the benefit schematic, like with a defense having to prep for everybody, really outweigh the pain in the ass it must be to be asked by media who isn't going to move off of what they're used to, which is having a wide receiver one, or the fact that the wide receiver position, like they like a hierarchy. They want to know what's up. Like it's going to cause those questions. Like, I guess, is he just maybe waiting for it to play out? Like somebody will just all of a sudden get 15 looks a game?
I guess, but it's been a few years now. So I can't imagine what he's waiting for, or he's going to just have to establish it because this is people's careers you're talking about, and people's money and future. And, getting 3 catches a game isn't for anybody. It could be everybody's getting 3 catches a game, but eventually it's going to be contract time, and they're going to be like, hey, I want top receiver money. But hey, we've only been targeting you 3 times a game. You've only gotten 3-4 catches a game, and that's everybody. So it's going to frustrate guys and force them to walk to other teams and try to find an opportunity where they can showcase their talents. And I know that it sounds good in theory and principle, but in reality, guys want to be the guy so that they can make $35 million, $30 million a year. They don't want to say, oh yeah, nobody was the go-to. It was great for the Packers, but it wasn't great for Romeo Doubs. It wasn't great for Jaden Reed. It wasn't great for eventually Matthew Golden or Christian Watson, because eventually they're going to want their money, and they're going to want big money, and they're going to believe they deserve it. And who knows, because they haven't gotten the targets to show it.
So defensively, I think you're making a great point. It's like a head scratcher for me, but I guess it's worked. Everybody thinking they're the number one. I know that Coach LaFleur harps so much on competition. I thought the way that you worded it with, at some point it'll boil over, is something that I think I've been sort of waiting for, and to see what happens. And they bring in Golden, and we'll see sort of how it shakes out, or if he decides to do that. So super interesting. But if you're on the Commanders defense, and Dan Quinn's got it locked, and they're preparing for this, like, is there one guy that you're looking at more than the others? Like, how are they going to prep for this?
You prep for Josh Jacobs, because they go as he goes. That's first and foremost. You got to stop the run, and then you worry about the rest of it. And you just conceptually prepare for it. You can prepare for their concepts, for their situational football. What do they like on 3rd down, 3rd and 5, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to say, hey, they got this go-to guy that we're going to have to double on 3rd down because he's the 3rd down target. Like, if they do, you'll figure that out. You'll flush that out. But it starts with stopping Josh Jacobs. You stop Josh Jacobs, and you have a chance against this team, and then you got to worry about the quarterback and these receivers. But if Josh Jacobs goes off, everything else feeds off of that. If the run game gets going, then the pass game opens up, and then you're in trouble.
I do want to ask you before we move on to Brock Purdy. Obviously, I'm actually in New York this morning. Sorry, I'm at a hotel. Like, all things are chaotic around me, but it's September 11th. I'm sure that'll be a big part of tonight's broadcast. And I was actually looking. I was like, oh man, what I think, like, where was Richard Sherman when it happened? I'm sure you were in high school, but I looked at your history this morning as I was looking at those Packers games, and it's your first career game, I believe, in the NFL. Was on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Do you remember that? What do you remember about that day?
I can't say I remember exactly what was going on that day. I just remember the country doing its best to continue to heal, and continue to come together and stand strong with one another. And I think, this is a great day to reinforce that thought. We all want the same thing. We're all supposed to be going in the same direction, and we're all one country. And so I think, people lose sight of that with the atmosphere and tragic events and things going on in the world. But, at the end of the day, this should be a time that we come together, celebrate this incredible country that we live in, and celebrate the brotherhood and sisterhood that we have. And we all want the same thing. We all want what's best for this country, our families, going forward.
And I'm sure we'll hear more thoughts tonight ahead of that broadcast, as it will be, celebrating that, not celebrating, but sort of memorializing further that day between you and Fitz and Carissa and Taylor and everybody up there on that broadcast on TNF on Prime tonight between those Packers and the Commanders. You got to let me ask you about Brock. I don't even know what I want to ask you, because I do, like I was saying in the break, like, man, he's just going to have it rough if they do well. If they don't, he's apparently going to miss 2 to 5 weeks, right? He's got the turf toe. In comes in as Duda wears this red suit that we heard Shanahan wanted to draft originally in Mac Jones. He's just going to slide in as the starter. What differences should I expect going from Brock as the starter to Mac getting starts?
Well, the mobility, first and foremost. I mean, the Seattle defensive line was getting pressure, and some of those plays were extended and created by Brock's mobility. Mac doesn't necessarily have that mobility, so I'm sure there are certain concepts that Brock likes, that Shanahan will, have to go away from, because they're not what Mac likes. And maybe you'll see more screens. Christian McCaffrey, obviously they'll lean on the run game more than they had in the first game. But there'll be some adjustments there. They'll try to shorten this game as much as they can. Try to make this as easy of a game as they can for Mac Jones. Keep it simple. Do the things that he really appreciates doing. You're without George Kittle too, which also hurts, and that's tough. I think that's why they bring back Kendrick Bourne, a guy who is familiar with the system, a guy who can get open in the phone booth. Juwan Jennings is a little banged up. You got to see how that shakes out. I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to run the ball and play good defense. New Orleans is a tough place to win. And regardless of their personnel or what's going on there, I think they're taking this game really serious and going to do everything they can to try to get out of there with a win.
I just saw some of those matchups. They've got that Rams one staring them in the face that you'll be a part of course. I think it's week 5, TNF on Prime on Amazon. So we're excited about that. If they go and they win like the next 3, can I see the slate again? Control room. I think it's Saints, Jags, Cardinals, then Rams. If, people are going to say if they go 3-0 here, or start 4-0, that, they shouldn't have paid Brock. That's this narrative that'll happen. Like, look, it's a system. Kyle Shanahan, he's the man. He can do it. Look, Kittle's not even there. They got McCaffrey, Mac Jones keeping it. What do you want to, let's get ahead of this. And I'm sure you'll talk about it on the Richard Sherman podcast, but what would you like to say to that segment of the unfaithful?
Well, that's just not true. That's not true at all. And the way they'll win is the way I'm talking about. They'll win leaning on Christian McCaffrey. They'll win leaning on the run game and this defense, Nicholas John Bosa, Fred Warner. They'll lean on the foundational pieces that they paid and that have helped drive this team. But I don't think any of this is an indictment against Brock Purdy and what he's done. I don't think they get to that Super Bowl without Brock Purdy. I don't think they get to that NFC Championship game in his rookie year without Brock Purdy. So his resume is already established. Them winning games against quote unquote lesser teams that haven't made the playoffs wouldn't be an indictment like, hey, they can do everything without Brock Purdy, because those playoff games are why he is who he is. It's not just the regular season and the games that matter. That Detroit game when they're down double digits going into the second half, or that you don't win that with just any quarterback. There are a lot of quarterbacks that are considered top 10 quarterbacks that I do not think win those games in the playoffs and have not won those games in the playoffs. And so when you have those conversations, you got to take the whole picture and remember what this guy has done in the playoffs, in critical games, in critical moments, and help this team win these ball games.
The gutsiness of last week's win, the digging deep for Brock Purdy, injured, dealing with injuries, all that adversity. Like it's hard for me to understand that other viewpoint, that other opinion. It's like, it's bullshit.
Yeah. It's so disconnected from reality that I don't even really entertain it, because you literally, if you feel that way, if you want to hate on him and you want to create that narrative, you can. I mean, there are people that would feel that way about Jalen Hurts and they just won a Super Bowl and be like, oh, well, can't you just insert, look in the preseason, the quarterback plays well, they could just put somebody. No, you can't. It's not how it works.
We are in our exclusive YouTube break with Richard Sherman. We'll be back on the TV side momentarily. Still live on YouTube very much. That's why I can say things like bullshit, because it's no longer on television. You cannot say those. Or you could, maybe you can. Can you swear on Amazon? What are the rules there?
They're pretty loosey. It's streaming, not technically,
Yes. FCC, get a grip. I wanted to ask you, if I could, about JJ McCarthy. You just named NFC Offensive Player of the Week. I know you are a Sam Darnold guy. After this game, did you see something in JJ that was special, maybe in the context of how you also saw Sam, who was a 14-3 quarterback last year for this team?
I just need to see a lot more of it. Obviously, he's a young guy. I think he threw for 142 yards, 43 yards. I don't know. Remember many guys getting player of the week with 140 yards passing, but he played really well in the fourth. He executed and completed some passes, but I also saw the Chicago Bears fall apart. And if I want to see this against the Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, I want to see this against guys that we know, guys that are established, defenses that are established. Because if you get it and you get some success, then it's great. But this was a 17-game season that we had to judge Sam Darnold on, and we're judging this guy off a good quarter of football. And so the jury's still out for me. you know, I wasn't sure what he was coming out of Michigan. I wasn't sure they took him with the 10th pick. I wasn't sure about that. His tape didn't seem like it was a top 10 quarterback's tape. But he is a winner. He's a guy that's won in high school. He's won in college. And that matters when you talk about the entirety of his career and evaluating him. But Kevin O'Connell was one of the best coordinators in the National Football League. And I love the positions that he put him in. He figured it out. He found some throws that he was comfortable making. McCarthy made those throws. He made a play with his legs. That was a great play and a great play design and a great play call in a critical moment when he ran it in for the touchdown. So you definitely got to give him credit for what he's done. But I just didn't feel comfortable, especially in the first half. Some of the mistakes that were made, but those could be youth. As we see more in the season, as we see more games, the picture will play itself out. But I'm still not bought in.
I think that the sentiment is that Sam couldn't win the big game, and that maybe because that we think that JJ is a winner, he'll win those big games when they come down the stretch.
You can say that about 90% of the quarterbacks in the National Football League. There's only 4 of them that have rings. So then you could say the rest of them couldn't win the big one. You know, could you say that about Herbert? Could you say that about Burrow? Could you say that about Lamar? Could you say that about Josh Allen at times? Like, if that's the barometer of judging quarterbacks, then none of them. Then you can't mention any of them.
I would say this: I'm a big fan of JJ, just his presence. I don't watch college, but he's a winner. You can say that. I'm a huge fan of Sam. They made it for a reason. I like Kevin and all that, but he should not have gotten NFC Player of the Week, in my opinion. And he looked amazing, but that belongs to. And I'd like your opinion. And just quickly I would have given it to Puka. Puka had an unbelievable game. He's bleeding down his freaking face. And you know, I like JJ, but that was one quarter. That was crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy, but you know, that's the league. You know, they want the quarterbacks to be the best, and he played well in the fourth. So, but I thought Puka could have got it too.
Yeah, Puka against Stingley, that whole thing, amazing. Okay, we will see you on tonight's broadcast. I appreciate, it means so much to me that you're like ahead of a broadcast, you're staring at Lambeau, and you spent some time with us this morning. Thank you, Richard Sherman. Download the podcast. We'll see you in a couple of hours on Thursday Night Football and at Amazon Prime.
I appreciate you guys.
Go get yourself a win at Lambeau.